It takes a lot of effort to keep the third dimension in place, as it seems. This dimension is a dimension of solidity, where light has been trapped so it can form matter. It's a construct which can act as a playground for non-physicals, ontoenergetics, from other dimensions and superdomains. Many are curious about how it is to live here, to experience a human body, have sex, and touch and hold all these things that are available in the physical world. Many star races may have started out as physical beings, only to choose to become ontoenergetics at one point or another. Not all star races are founders either, so they don't know how to clone or genetically engineer a physical body. Therefore, some of them may want to experience a 3D world again. After all, being ontoenergetics, it may seem, from their perspective, that living in a 3D world and having a physical body is a piece of cake, because in the non-physical everything is possible. Those who manage to get themselves a human body, however, find it much, much harder to live down here than they could ever imagine. It's not an easy ride. But there are things you can do here that you can't do as a non-physical. One of these things is to have sex. Many star beings choose to come to Earth only for that reason. The physical world, which is only about 4% of all that is, can be a double-edged sword. This 4% has different densities, and physicality exists in all of them, in one way or the other, but is never as solid as here in a 3D reality. Nowhere else do you need to first think a solid thought, plan how to execute the thought, and then physically do it in a super dense and slow environment. Very little here happens in an instance. You have to really create it, which takes time. And time is an important factor in 3D. We always feel we race against time, because our lifespan is only about 70 to 85 years. Star races are seeding in the third dimension, and in other dimensions as well within 4 space/time, depending on what the founders want to do when they experiment with genetics. Our ancestors, the Namliu, were beings of all dimensions, but had the ability to live on Terra in a less dense form than we do, and everything else was less dense, too, because Terra existed in another density. Was it still 3D? Yes, but at a higher frequency, one which corresponded with that of the rest of the physical universe. This frequency was later changed by the Sirians. Then it's a totally different ball game being trapped here with no obvious way to get out. We lost our multidimensionality at the same moment we decided to stick with our Syrian slave drivers and fell for their flattery when they made some of us for more than others and in charge of the rest. This trapped both those in charge and those who followed order. We may argue that it wasn't our fault and that the Syrians did this on purpose to create a slave race etc., and that would be absolutely true. But in practicality, what happened was that we agreed to do it their way, more and more so over the millennia, until we trapped ourselves through our genetic lineage and our genetic memories. Now, once our souls take a body, we are caught up in this master-slave mentality. The gods love this reality, too, because they can come here and play around with gold, precious stones, DNA, or whatever they want, and everything they do has a ripple effect across the different dimensions.